Oh, how I love the new music, the new intro music to the dialogue. Hi, this is Dozell, Dialogue with Dozy. Hey, my main man Kim's out with Hyde Carton tonight. I'm gonna let him tell you about it later. But got some exciting guests, got a real exciting show. Oh, I'm wearing Plantation Colonel's gear tonight in honor of the Plantation football team that I've been associated with now for the past 14 years. We just defeated the number 2 team in the state, the Dunbar Tigers, over in Fort Myers on last Friday night. 44-30, I think, was the final score. And so here we are celebrating. But tonight, the dialogue, we have a very special show. Go Giga Creations, guys, you guys rock. You know I'll be talking about y'all in a few minutes. Hi, Fern. Joining us tonight, a special guest for this show, as we're counting down the top 10 sports upsets in the last 50 years. That's right, the top 10 most famous sports upsets of the last 50 years. And I want to introduce my guest, Jack Strickland. He is a mentor and a friend to many of our beloved Gator fans. He has mentored many of the Gator players, football, baseball, all sports. He is a Gator, just a friend of that program. He's been with us here before. And also our cousin Chevy Harris is here, a renowned Jaguar fan. Look at her. She's a renowned Jaguar fan and a sports enthusiast. She's going to be with us for a while. Guys, how are you all doing?
Doing good.
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Listen, we're getting started right now. We're not going to hold this thing up at all. This is an exciting show. And to our viewers, we want you to win and tell us what you just start listing sports upsets of the last 50 years that you are aware of. But we're about to start with number 1. We're counting down from 10 to 9. We're about to start with number 10. The greatest sports upset, the greatest sports sets of the last 50 years. Can anybody tell me who they think? Give me an idea what they think number 10 could be?
I'm not sure what it would be. There have been a lot of upsets. My emphasis is kind of on college athletics, but there have been all kinds of upsets. Just almost the top upset of the last 3 centuries was this past weekend when some school called, what was it? Samford, Birmingham scored 42 points against the Gators in the first half of the game.
Listen, that was indeed an upset. That was indeed an upset. I don't know what happened to our Gators, Chevy.
I have no idea.
We're coming back. And Dozell and Chevy, I just want to let you know that I don't normally have this big white bushy beard, but Santa Claus is coming to town and I'm hanging around with Dozell and Kim, so I may be on the naughty list. So I figured I better grow me a white beard.
Oh man. Well, I got a surprise for you. The number 10 upset of the last 50 years, it's an NBA upset.
Okay.
And it occurred with what was supposed to be one of the first real super teams that was put together, not drafted together, a few draft choices drafted and a few trades here, but free agents came together like LeBron and D Wade did down here with our beloved Heat.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe helps you, but it was an upset, and it was between this game. We're going to see in just a hot second. It's the Pistons and the Lakers.
Shock the Los Angeles Lakers. 187 to win the NBA title. Hill will be picked up by Pippen, who plays with 4 fouls.
That was the team that had Karl Malone, the glove, Gary Payton, and that group teamed up with Kobe Bryant and anybody, what was the tall kid name? His brother played with the Lakers last year, kind of bounced around the last couple of years. There were 2 brothers
Gasol?
from Spain. Paul Gasol.
Mark and Powell.
Power. So it was Power with the Lakers. So that team was upset by a unknown team of Detroit Pistons led by Ben Wallace and that group. Any comments on that upset, guys? Do you all remember that one?
I'm not much of an authority on that one either.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Okay.
What year was that?
That was 2007. Let me make sure I'm right about that. 2007, and it was just prior to the Lakers learning that that was not going to be the formula, because I think Karl Malone retired a year later. Gary Payton had just come from the Heat and going to join them. He had just won that title with Shaq with the Heat and going to join the Lakers. And that group went on to they kind of disbanded and formed a team around Kobe, the late great Kobe Bryant, and Pau Gasol. And they had those two epic wars in 2010. Was it 9-11 with the Celtics? They won one. The Celtics won one in a tough 7 games. Then they came back 2 years later and won 1-1. So that was upset number 10. Number 10. Any surprise, guys?
I would not. That would not have been on my list, but I'm not that familiar with basketball back then. But I accept that characterization. I remember vaguely what an upset that it was there.
Okay. Well, then, Jack, we got to get you up to Chevy and I have to spend some time off camera in the next couple of weeks getting you up on the NBA. That's an exciting sport, man.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
So, guys, Fern is commenting. She says, "Go Colonels," because our group has a saying. The cheerleaders has this saying, and they do it before our kids run between the cheerleaders to start a game. Everybody wants to be a Colonel, and that's what our guys are. We just celebrate our Colonels. An excellent win after a 72 season, and there we go. We're ready for number 9. So I think we all know this was the NFL, and it involved that team that was involved in a dynasty recently, a recent dynasty over the last 20 years, and that's a dead giveaway. But can you all name the upset? We're asking our viewers, and we're asking our guests. Can you all name the upset with that dynastic team?
Would the dynasty be the Patriots by any chance?
That would be one of the teams.
And the Jaguars of 2018?
No, it wasn't a championship game. It was a Super Bowl, actually.
Okay.
And guess who got upset?
Probably them.
The Patriots got upset. So now, number 9. We're bringing on the video for number 9, and we'll talk about that one in just a second.
And the Giants, with the most improbable win, have won Super Bowl 42.
There was a great upset.
Michael Strahan played for the New York Giants. Of course, we see him on Good Morning America and other television shows. That was their second time defeating the Patriots. Do you all remember that show, Jack? That game?
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. The Patriots were essential to win that game. Everybody wasn't any sense in even tuning it in, because it was just going to be a shellacking by the Patriots, and boy, did they get a surprise.
Yeah, they did.
Sylvia, what do you remember about that game?
I remember oh my goodness. I was at a Super Bowl party.
Any Patriot haters in the house? Guests? Anybody? Viewers? Any Patriot haters in the house? Because your boy would sign up as one of them at the time. I thought that they had cheated the Raiders when they began their dynasty. And wow, they actually were defeated by the Giants. And some of the notable highlights of that game was that the Giants, when they were coming back for the game-winning drive on 4th down and 17, I think it was, there was this crazy catch. They call it the glue catch. That I should have brought that video up, where the guy caught the ball on the back of his helmet.
Oh, yes.
And he went on to drive on for the first down. But it was the defense that just stifled the Patriots. Brady has never done well with pressure in his face. Yeah. And as you know, that Giant team, as did the other Giant team prior, because Strickland retired after that. They had defeated them a couple of years earlier, and they came back and defeated them. Other interesting fact about that game, guys, was that the Patriots were undefeated. So they had a special significance for us in South Florida, because every time the last team goes down, a group of the Miami Dolphins, including the late great Coach Don Shula, will gather together, and they will pull one together, have one together to celebrate and smoke a stogie or something to celebrate it. So they went down. That Patriot team was on its way to being undefeated. They had the great Randy Moss at wide receiver. They broke all kind of records, but they got their backs broken on that night.
Yeah.
By the New York Giants, led by Michael Strahan and what's Peyton Manning's little brother's name?
Eli.
Eli Manning. Wow, been a long day.
Yeah.
Eli and that team. They would with that unforgettable catch that was made. They call that the helmet glue catch.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for number 8. It's another NFL. It's another Super Bowl, actually. It's another upset. Number 8 has one of the two teams that was in this Super Bowl, and it was another
Patriots.
upset. Can
The
you all
Patriots.
guess what it was?
Was it the Patriots?
Yeah. So who was on what side of the upset? Who got upset in that one? Y'all know?
I'm sure they won that one.
I don't know.
Jack, what say you?
I don't remember who the opponent was.
Okay, we're about to show it right now. But before we go there, let me look at some of the highlights on the last one. Max says that Brady scoffed at the idea of only scoring 17 points. Yeah, anytime there's pressure on Brady's face, he is not the same. We do remember Spygate. And, of course, oh, man, Mac already answered it. Can you all see the comments, guys? He answered it. Bring up the videotape, please. It's number 8, the 8th greatest upset of the last 50 years. Was the year 2003? Thanks, Mac. You get a prize for answering that. It was the Patriots upset of the St. Louis Rams, who's also known at that point as the greatest show on turf. Isaac Bruce, Fort Lauderdale resident, Dillard High School, was a part of that magnificent group. With they just had the wide receivers, they had Kurt. And the passer, they had everything. That group, they had just defeated the Tennessee Titans 2 years earlier in the Super Bowl on that last second defensive stop, and now they came. And what do you all remember about that game, guys? Marshall Faulk was on that team. Help me with the quarterback.
Was that when Brady first got started at quarterback? Was he the rookie?
It sure was.
And he was, there's no way they were going to beat powerful Los Angeles then. And you can see the enthusiasm after the game, you know, what a thrill it was. Even those players probably didn't expect to win because Los Angeles had all of the horses back then. But Patriots kind of turned the tables. They've been so dominant here lately, and I think it started with that game.
Thanks, Mac. It was Kurt Warner. Yeah, they did. That was the start of the dynasty, Jack. Chevy, weigh in on that upset, if you remember it well.
Was it 20-17? Do you remember the score?
If you remember the last drive, the Rams were kind of behind most of the game, and everybody's just waiting on that dynamo of an offense to get started, and they finally scored and tied the game with, I think it's like a minute and some seconds left, and everybody expected the Patriots to just play it close to the vest, hold on to the ball, go into overtime. They were like David and Goliath in that game, and they were David, and they was just holding on. Tom Brady was just a pup. He was not what many of you all will refer to as the GOAT.
The GOAT.
I know that gets your GOAT called Brady the GOAT. He was just this unknown second-string quarterback who was filling in for their injured starter at the time.
Was it Bledsoe?
Charlie, I can't. What is wrong? I cannot think of the OC for the Patriots, but everybody thought they were just holding to the ball, and they went right down the field and methodically, slowly, dunking little dunk passes, run here and there, and set up Adam Vinatieri, who hit a 43-yard field goal. That would not be the first of the field goal of their 7 Super Bowl wins that Vinatieri would hit. That would start a record of several last-second field goals they would hit. Any comments from you guys?
It looked like that field goal just barely made it through, too. It gets in between the yellow paint, it counts. So that's all the Patriots or anybody cared about. That was pulling.
Exactly.
Quite an exciting finish.
So if you were a Patriot hater like I was at that point, and I was angry because they had gotten away with defeating the Raiders on the tuck rule in that snow game, if you all remember that in the playoffs, the conference semifinals, they beat the Raiders and went on to win the Super Bowl, and so went on to win the AFC Championship game, and I was kind of like, I just had no idea they would even be close to the Rams in this game, and that's the way they always agonize. It was always a tough one, a last second, and like what you just said, Jack, the ball always just barely inside the crossbars. So that brings us up to upset number 7. We're counting down the top 10 greatest sports upsets of the last 50 years. And this one is college football. College football, guys. And I'll let you choose. This was back in the 80s. And it involved a Florida team. I'm giving you a hint. Not Florida Gators per se, but a Florida team. So number 7, before we view the videotape, give you a shot at it. Anybody?
I'm guessing that it was probably Miami. Might have been FSU. I don't think it was Florida.
Miami and FSU.
I could have been wide right, or wide left back then. Field goals were deciding those championships. Might have been FSU in Oklahoma or one of those games. That was a sensation there in the 80s. I don't think it would have been the Gators.
Well, we had some wide rights and wide lefts between the U and FSU, and there was like a wide last second touchdown on Saturday. We could consider that an upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all these upsets were finals or Super Bowls or whatever the final of that sport, the championship game itself. And Mac is on the route. He's on the way. He has said it's the Hurricanes versus. Let's go to the videotape. Sound like Warner Wolf. You remember him? Let's go to the videotape. It'll tell us who it was.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson, boy, he was a coach and a half.
Y'all see the looks on those faces? Jimmy Johnson and the late great Joe Paterno.
Penn State, yeah.
Penn State, yes.
Two great coaches.
Y'all remember that game?
Yeah, I remember it. I don't remember a lot of the details, but Paterno was one of my favorite college coaches of all time. I think he got a bad deal when he left Penn State, but Jimmy Johnson was always so colorful too. And Miami and went to Dallas and stayed colorful, And I'm sure he's, as an analyst now, he's still a leading authority. But my memory is that Penn State won that game, but I'm not sure. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that was I think the final was 2017 also. 21-17.
Yeah.
So this was a scenario. There were like 15 seconds left. Miami was driving the ball for what would have been a winning touchdown, and Vinny Testaverde threw the fifth of his 5 un-Vinny Testaverde-like nights, where he threw 5 interceptions. He threw the 5th interception in the end zone, and Penn State returned, just took it out the end zone, just killed the clock. It was in the last 20 seconds, and there was some colorful. There was some things you talk about, the colorful Jimmy Johnson, Chevy. That game was about 1988. I was working a surveillance. I'm a former law enforcement guy, and I was working a surveillance. I taped that game, and I did everything I could to avoid seeing it. And I was working in a bar. I had the surveillance took me into a bar at the very end, and I walked in the bar, and the first thing I saw was that play up on the screen, and I could not believe it. I had avoided listening to the game. Everybody knew not to talk about it around me, and lo and behold, I walk in on that, and that was just like an upset of upsets.
Yeah.
Miami was undefeated, and they had gone out there wearing fatigues. If you remember, they got off the plane wearing Army fatigues.
Yeah.
And the thought was to send a message and intimidate Penn State, even in the banquets and so forth. They walked out. It was just like a game of intimidation.
Yeah.
But man, Joe Paterno's boys came in with that solid fundamental football, and they beat a more talented Miami Hurricane team.
Yeah.
So let's see. Max says the number 1 receiver for Miami was injured. Of course, that was after Michael Irvin's time. But I don't know who that was. But anything else about that? Or college football upsets that kind of sticks out in you guys' minds? Okay. Well, we're gonna go to number 6. Number 6 is it's an individual sport upset. I'll just tell it like that.
Okay.
And it involved one of the most charismatic figures in American history, not only in American sports history. And I just about told you who it was.
Ali.
Muhammad Ali. He was one of the ones in this upset. Was he the victim, or did he perpetrate the upset?
He perpetrated.
He perpetrated. What say you, Jack?
Big Sonny Liston fell that night.
Oh, wow. That
was the one when Ali beat Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, that was about 6
my highlight.
I don't think you were quite here yet.
Yeah, but there were other upsets with Ali too. He lost one maybe to Norton somewhere, the Thriller in Manila or something like that.
Okay, so the Thriller in Manila was the 3rd of that epic trilogy with Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier.
Mac is saying it was Foreman. Let's see what the videotape reveals what our upset number 6 is going to be. Y'all remember that? That was the very recently deceased brother Leon Spinks.
Spinks, yeah.
Who defeated Muhammad Ali in the Astrodome.
That was definitely an upset.
I'm sorry, the Northern Superdome. That was definitely an upset, Sherry.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my all-time heroes was Muhammad Ali. I mean, in the ring and out. I mean, he was just such a colorful, wonderful person. And one of the highlights of my watching sports as a spectator, well, I didn't really involve the sports, but was him lighting the Olympic torch in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
There, he was in declining health starting at that time, and the crowd loved him, and he loved the crowd, and you could see them feeding off of each other, and that's the way it always was. And to this day, I still don't believe Leon Spinks beat him in that match. I mean, obviously he did, but to me, Muhammad Ali was almost undefeatable.
Well, as you know, Chevy, Ali would come back in 6 months and avenge that loss to Spinks, and which had a lot of people smelling or saying that it was a setup. But what a colorful, what a figure. We'll talk more about Ali, I think, later on in the countdown. But certainly that was an upset. For some of us, it was like, oh man, is this a sign of time? Our great hero is going down. But I don't know. Maybe he gave him a shot at it to get his name up. And of course, Leon's younger brother, Michael Spinks, moved from the light heavyweight ranks, became the heavyweight champion of the world, losing only to Mike Tyson later on in that epic 63-second bout in 1988. You guys are great. Listen, we're going to take a short break to pay bills, pay homage to GoGigaCreations.com. Oh man, you see the production work that they're doing. They are the greatest producers of virtual works on earth. That's GoGigaCreations.com. That's Latoya Glenn, our daughter, Kim's niece, and Makia Jack Johnson. Makia is just a wizard at this thing. They do web production. They build websites. They'll host you. They'll produce your show. Wow. Go on their webpage, GoGigaCreations.com, and look at some of the works that they've done. They have just blown up during the pandemic, and we're so grateful to be produced. They made this show possible under some of the most unlikely of circumstances tonight, last minute, and we're grateful to GoGigaCreations.com. Also, we are appreciated. The dialogue is appreciative of the work that ShoweringLove.org does. To our guests, you don't know, they have 2 city buses in South Florida that have been converted. One has 2 showers, one has 3 showers. They park daily in the area of the homeless population, of a high homeless population, and they do wrap services for our homeless brothers and sisters. They get free showers. They have brand new clothing items, haircuts, voter registration, just another fresh start that they help create. That's Gina Albar and her great. We're hoping she'll be with us next week. That great group, Showers by Grace, ShoweringLove.org is the website. We're so grateful for both of them being a part of the Dialogues family. Listen, I'm gonna do a short. Are you serious? I'm gonna do a short shout out tonight, and I want to begin tonight's shout out. And producers, bear with me, please. I'm sorry I didn't tell you ahead of time. Let me just start this shout out by reading what one of our faithful viewers and my dear sister Fern O'Quinn says. She says, "I just appreciated the Patriots seemingly representing America beginning in 2002 in a time when we desperately needed pride. We had been kicked to the lowest, at the lowest level, the World Trade Center. Oh, wow. But the Pats started an unseen pride just with their name and wins. Let's give them the thanks they deserve." All right. So you're forcing my hand, Fern. I'm already a self-admitted Patriot hater, but tonight I'm gonna give the Patriots a shout out. What Bill Belichick did, if you remember the story, Bill Belichick was slated to succeed Bill Parcells, Jack, with the New York Jets, and it was a job that was handed to him, and he and Robert Kraft did some finagling, and he ended up with the Patriots. And wow, this was second head coaching job, and beginning the dynasty, the beginning of 03, they go on and they win 7 Super Bowl and appear in 9. Now, the reason we're giving them a shout out is this. the central piece of that dynasty broke off 2 years ago or last year when Tom Brady left the Patriots and landed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Patriots had a tough time last year finding their way. Now they are like 6-3 or 6-4. The Patriots are north of 500. They have a rookie quarterback, Matt Jones, who came from the University of Alabama, and here they are. They're leading. Well, they're just behind the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Eastern Division because they do it the old-fashioned way. Belichick pulls together a hodgepodge of players. He may have a star. There are no great big paid players. It's just a group of football players that come together and line up under believing in what they call the Patriot way, and they just mesh together and have become one of the greatest sports dynasty in history. It's hard for me to give them a shout out because I hated on them every opportunity I got. You should have seen how I gloated, Jack, when the Patriots were upset by the Giants in that Super Bowl. But shout out tonight to the New England Patriots because they're trending up. And you give Bill Belichick a half of a chance, and he'll be back on top because they do it the Patriot way, which Fern has identified as the American way. Shout out tonight to the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick's group. All right, back to our countdown. Let me just review. Number 10, we're counting down the 10 greatest sports upsets in the last 50 years. Number 10 was the Patriots. Number 10 was the Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball defeating the Los Angeles Lakers, the Kobe Bryant-led group of superstars that had Paul Gasol, and they pulled together Karl Malone, the mailman, and the glove Gary Payton, and they lost to an unknown group led by Ben Wallace, and in that group, Rasheed Wallace, and they lost to that one. Number 9, the upset was the Giants, upsetting the undefeated Patriots, who were on their way to becoming the team to win the most games in the NFL history. Had they won that game, they would have been 18-0. They would have been the champions. They would have broken the 72 Dolphins chance. Wow. Dolphins, I join you in being glad that didn't happen. The number 8 upset of the last 50 years, as recorded by the Dialogue, was the Patriots winning their very first Super Bowl in 2003 as they defeated the greatest show on turf, the Kurt Warner-led St. Louis Rams. The number 7 upset was the Penn State Nittany Lions, Joe Paterno's group, Jack, defeated Jimmy Johnson and the Miami Hurricanes. You know what they say, it's all about the youth. Well, that night, unfortunately, it wasn't. The number 6 greatest sports upset in the last 50 years was Leon Spinks defeating heavyweight champion of the world, 2-time champion at the time, Muhammad Ali. And so we're down to number 5. The number 5. And Jack, Chevy had to sign off. We thank her for being with us. But the number 5 greatest sports upset of the last 50 years. Hey, this was college basketball. Jack, you want to take a shot at it? I know you're not very basketball.
I'm not sure who that would have been.
Who was it?
I don't know. I'm not sure who that would have been.
Okay.
Recognize the team, so I don't remember the game.
Who would that have been? Fern, who was it? Who in the last 50 years, what was the greatest college sports basketball upset? Remember, it's got to be a final game. Oh, Matt, you're killing me, man. You're saying Villanova over Georgetown. That was
that California team.
Jack says it's a California team, one of UCLA fans.
UCLA.
Let's go to the videotape on Warner Wolf.
Wittenberg, it's a long ways. They won it.
And Jim Valvano. Yeah, I remember that game.
You remember those?
Oh, what a coach he was.
Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Five Slammer Jammer. Hakeem Olajuwon. Clyde Drexler, and that group, Larry Mishaw, they defeated him. Cozell McQueen put in that last second dunk. Let me just kind of give us a setup on that. That score was back and forth the last couple of minutes. NC State was just unbelievably in charge of most of that game. Phi Slama Jam was not getting all those dunks. They caught fire the last 5 minutes of that game, and they held the ball. What was interesting about that, Jack, was that they held the ball. They were doing the old Dean Smith four corners offense, just holding it for a last second shot from about 40 seconds out. And with about 13 seconds left, well, actually less than that, in the last 10 seconds, the ball was almost stolen by Houston, which would have been an easy breakaway winning dunk. But he missed it. That player shot the ball. He fell short, and Cozell McQueen picked it up and dunked it at the buzzer. And you saw Jim Valvano running around to try to hug somebody. What a colorful fella he was. You want to comment on the late, great Jim Valvano, Jack?
Yes, I remember the celebration there more than the game. The NC State fans were so excited, running around, and Jim Valvano seemed to run 2 circles around the court nonstop. And somebody asked him after the game where he was going and what he was doing. And he said, well, I was looking for somebody to hug, but everybody was hugging somebody else. I couldn't find anybody to hug. But for me, that's one of the things that's so great about college sports, the enthusiasm that you see there. And there's no way that North Carolina State was going to win that national championship that year, but boy, they did it.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That takes me back again to my days as I was working a detail at a hotel as a patrolman, and various people that we met was letting us see the game. Another guy was working a detail with, and well, not that game, but we had seen NC State's amazing run. And the night of the game, I was actually working the streets, and I was listening to it in the car on my radio. And my shift ended right before that last second shot. And I ran in the squad room just in time to see that shot, and I could not believe it. I went outside and got all of my gear and brought it in. My head was dropped because I was definitely pulling for that Houston Cougar team led by the Dream Hakeem Olajuwon. So that was the Dialogues number 5.
And one thing on Valvano too, it's just within the last couple of weeks, I had a inspirational message that he had taped, sent to me, that's being used by cancer patients at Shands Hospital in Gainesville. Valvano died of cancer after a courageous battle, and his during the final weeks of his life, he wrote some inspirational things that are still in use and made some tapes. And anybody that's fighting any tough battles might want, health-wise, might want to consider getting those, because Jill Valvano hasn't been with us for a while, but the coaching philosophy and inspiration is still here, very much alive today.
That's an excellent point, Jack. Where could we get those tapes? Where could we listen to that?
I would check with North Carolina State University. They have the athletic department, should have them. Mine came through the one came on a Facebook post through YouTube and the American Cancer Society. It's the philosophy that he had was never give up.
Never give up. Don't ever give up. We should play that sometime. Thanks for that perspective, Jack. Jack, you and I both are survivors. Thank God we're here to talk about the inspiration that Jim Valvano gave so many in that notable ESPN speech. And if you get a chance, YouTube that speech. It'll bring chills to you, and it will inspire you to push on. And ESPN has an award named after him. And of course, who's his good friend there at ESPN now? I can't think of his name. I know Mac. would tell me, but they were good friends, and they both were ending their careers at ESPN, and they were very colorful, very lively, of course. And he kind of carried on and leads the banner every year as the Jimmy V Foundation. He helps to promote it, and ESPN pushes that. Listen, Mac, thanks for correcting me, brother. It was Lorenzo Charles, the late Lorenzo Charles, who just perished a few years ago himself, who hit that last second dunk. It was not Cozell McQueen. It was Lorenzo Charles for the NC State Wolfpack that hit that last second shots. The dialogue moves on. We're at number 4. We want to give our readers, our listeners, an opportunity to tell us what we missed, who we should have included, and things like that. Boy, Go Giga Creations is just great. We love you guys. Thank you so much for bringing this show tonight. Number 4. Let's look at the number 4th greatest sports upset of all time. Before we bring it on video, Jack, it's a Super Bowl. Can you imagine which one that was?
I would guess that it was probably somewhere around the late 1960s, maybe the New York Jets upsetting the NFL team, the first victory of the AFL over the NFL. And I believe they played the Green Bay, maybe it was the Kansas City Chiefs or the Green Bay Packers. I can't remember which one. Namath was a quarterback of the Jets that year. I'm not sure that's the one that's rated there, but I would think that's in the top 4.
Mac has picked it. It is number 4, and let's see it. Let's go to the videotape and see just how that went down.
The New York Jets are the world champions. They have upset the Baltimore Colts and beat them handily here today.
The quarterback who nearly lost his team by being undisciplined had now won.
It was the New York Jets. The 1969 Super Bowl, culminating the 68 season, and they defeated Tom Maddy, who just died like 2 weeks ago. Tom Maddy was, and Johnny Unitas and Earl Morrow, South Florida, were the quarterbacks of that team. And Tom Maddy, they call him the garbage runner because of his running style. And they defeated that team. It was just Mike Curtis was a linebacker. That team was just all American. They went 34, and they went 13-1, losing only to the Cleveland Browns. Losing only to the Cleveland Browns during the season. And of course, they demolished the Cleveland Browns in what was then called the National Football League championship game. The Jets defeated the Oakland Raiders to get to the Super Bowl, and they were high underdogs. And I got to check this out. There was a club called Bachelor's 3 down here. I don't know if it still exists, but it was there that Joe Namath kind of hung out while the Super Bowl was being played in the old Orange Bowl down here. And he made his famous prediction that they were going to win the Super Bowl over the Colts. And they went right.
I guarantee it.
Jack, what do you remember about that Super Bowl, man?
Yeah. Oh, that was a sensational thing. There's no way the Jets could win that game. Johnny Unitas was the quarterback for the Colts. He'd been injured. Earl Morrow came in as a backup. They were down there at a pool party practicing a few days before the game. And Namath, being the brash, cocky graduate of Alabama that he was, I just told the group of reporters around there, he said, don't waste your money, bet on the Jets. I guarantee you we're going to whip them. And everybody just laughed about that fool. And by golly, he went out there and did it. One of the highlights for me of that game was Joe Namath's dad, who was from Pennsylvania. And he was kind of a country type of guy. And he was at the game, and he had him a hat that he got from, he said, a vendor going into the stadium. And he was in the locker room after the game, and Namath teased him about the hat. And I said, Daddy, where'd you get that hat? And he said, well, everybody said my son was better looking than I am, so I figured I better cover it. And it was a wild-looking hat with earmuffs, it looked like on it. But Namath was a sensation. He was the highest paid football player coming out of college back then, out of Alabama. It was his contract with the New York Jets was something, I think it was $400,000 and a Lincoln Continental convertible. And and he was overpaid, and there was a lot of hullabaloo about that. But he went on, and he in the first defeat Bear Bryant had in Tuscaloosa, the Gators were able to whip them up there. Namath was the quarterback, and that's when I met. And Jimmy Walsh was his best friend in college, I guess, and lawyer through the thing. And Namath was always just the ultimate big man on campus and stud in the pros and party guy. And it really bothers me now when I see him on television doing Medicare commercials. Because he ain't old enough to be on Medicare, but of course he's 70s now. But the memories of that game were special. That started big time football. I think that game, first time the fledgling of newcomers on the block AFC beat the NFL team there.
Yeah, it took 3 Super Bowls to do it. The Packers won the first 2 against the Chiefs and the Raiders, and then you come to the third one, and the Baltimore Colts, who just steamrolled through the season, were just upset. It was kind of like the Hurricane and Penn State game was just the other team just outplayed them, and the Jets they won. And yes, man, the amazing John Mackey. You remember him, don't you, Jack?
Oh yes,
number 88 for the Colts. I'm telling you, the Colts had an all-star team.
Yeah.
And John Mackey he was a tight end.
Yeah. And Don Shula was the coach that built the Colts. Came to the Dolphins after that and built that tremendous program down there. But the Colts were in Baltimore then, and man, what a franchise they were. They were the Colts and the Giants back about that time, the New York Giants. Y.A. Tittle was a quarterback for the Giants back then, a good part of the time, and Fran Tarkington and the Colts with Unitas with his high top shoes. And then when Namath came in with the Jets, he had low cut white shoes, unheard of in the pros, and everybody wore black shoes but Namath. And it was a colorful era, and when some good professional football was played back then during those years.
Jack, the irony about those the contrast that you're making is that Maddie, not Maddie, Earl Morrow led them because Unitas had been hurt, and Morrow was quarterbacking, and when the Colts offense was unable to move the ball, and it looked pretty dire for them, Coach Shula inserted Johnny U to try to spark them. And it wasn't enough to push them through. That was just a Jets day. That was magic in the air, and just magic. That was number 4. A lot of nostalgia around that. Thanks for bringing in the Shula aspect. He's a beloved figure in South Florida. The number 3 greatest sports upset of the last 50 years is recorded by Dialogue with Dozie. Videotape, please.
I'm not sure who it might be.
It's a single sport again, and it's one of the characters we mentioned earlier. Anybody have an idea?
Muhammad Ali Liston's got to be close to the top. It's got to be one or
Jack is really trying to get that Ali and Liston fight in there from 1963. Let's see who it was. Let's see.
I don't know. He's got him again. Oh, Nate's uppercut. Mike Watson does it. Look at this. He's knocked Mike Tyson down for the first time in his career. Mike Tyson hits the canvas. He's in big trouble. He may not be able to recover. It's up to 7 and 8. He's not going to make it. Unbelievable.
Wow, who remembers that? I had to get something in there that would bring in our young school. Max says it was a good fight. I don't know. Tyson kind of went over. This was in Japan, I think, wasn't it, Jack?
I believe so.
And Tyson just he went over there, and that's where he was involved in a lot of stuff, and he just was not prepared. He wasn't well trained, and Buster Douglas just came in. And interesting, I was in grad school at the time, and had a couple of friends that were just marveled at Mike Tyson's talent. And one of the friends said, it's going to take somebody to just stand over him and just knock him out in order to beat him. And that's exactly what happened. But it wasn't Mike. I have to insert, it wasn't Mike Tyson at his best.
Yeah, oh, it wasn't. And there was a lot. I remember that fight now. There was a lot of things going on in his private life and social life. And he was trying to be part of a movie star family. And I think I always felt like they didn't treat Mike Tyson properly. But and to my way of thinking, Mike Tyson was one of the great heroes of all time. He came up through some tough times, and sometimes the only people that would talk to him as a kid were pet pigeons that he had. He raised carrier pigeons. And, his life story is something really worth checking if you want to really get some inspiration sometime. Read his story. One of the quotes that he had that I use occasionally is everybody's a champion. Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And everything changes when you take that first blow.
I think that's a spot on comment for what happened to Mike. Mac is saying that it was his inability, his new trainers, and they had introduced massages and so forth. And I kind of say that what you just said. Douglas just stood over him and hit him in the mouth, and he definitely was distracted. He was not the indestructible Mike Tyson that we had known. Number two, this is a little bit dated, but it's one of the greatest sports upsets of all time, and it involved Gotham City, and the dialogue. This is the only kind of its sports. In this top 10, we haven't done anything in this sport in this the number 2 greatest upset of the last 50 years. Let's see what the videotape reveals that would be.
The 2-1 pitch. There's a fly ball hit out to left. Waiting is Jones. The Mets are the world champions. Gary Koosman being mobbed. Look at this scene. Nearly tore this ballpark.
So, Jack,
I remember that game.
That was before your time, I'm sure.
I'm familiar with that.
Amazing Mets. No, that's not before your time. You just were a young man. But that was a 69 amazing Mets. What do you remember about that, Jack?
The thing that I remember most about it was the third baseman for the Mets. And I remember his brother more than I remember him. His last name was Charles. Coach Charles worked with youth groups in Gainesville, in Jacksonville. He lived in Jacksonville. He was a coach for the Florida Department of Corrections, the Florida State Prison, about the time of that game. And reliving that game through his eyes when he was telling us about being there, seeing his brother play, was really special. I don't remember who the Mets played, but it was there was no way they were supposed to win that game, and Charles was able to do it all. We didn't lose this. Touch the computer.
Well, Max says he would have thought that we would have selected the Dodgers over the A's. I don't know about that. Was that may have been Mac. I'm gonna go back and research that. I confess to not being the greatest baseball enthusiast. That's a terrible confession for supposedly sports aficionado Stephen A. Smith would call it. But I tell you who, Jack, I do remember from that team. Amos Otis played with that amazing Met team. Now, I started out selling Cokes down at the old Wolfson Park there in Jacksonville, where the Jaguars, I think it's one of their training facilities now. They've converted into that. And that amazing Met team, all of them came through. Jacksonville had a AAA team, and they were the Mets AAA farm team. And most of those guys that won that '69 title came through that farm team. And I got a chance to work with that group. I sold pop at the stadium. I eventually became a bat boy. Then I became a clubhouse manager. In the clubhouse, I worked with Henry Aaron twice and his brother Tommy all the time. Many Major League and Matt Anthony and Kim, of course, followed me and hung out with these guys. Not being a baseball enthusiast, I wish I had some of the paraphernalia that I got the memorabilia that we had collected from those guys. That's number 2. Hey, we're at number 1. It's time for a drum roll. Yeah, Kurt, I got you. I hear you, man. That team with Kurt Gibson get that home run, that monumental home run. I got you on that. Okay, the clock is on us. The number 1 sports upset of the last 50 years. It's a sport that probably neither of us are necessarily a big fan, but this upset just had to be listed as the number 1. Let's see what the videotape says it is.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Oh, I
I
remember.
think Mac alluded to this one earlier. It was when the USA won the gold over Russia, and one of the most iconic sports phrases of all time was Al Michaels saying, "Do you believe in miracles?" That's what it was.
The Miracle
One of the
on Ice.
greatest sports upsets of all time. The gold medal. America wins the gold medal over Russia, who kind of ruled Olympic hockey in those days. And America comes back and wins it. Wow, we've counted down 10 sports upsets of the last 50 years. We have college football, college basketball, pro football, pro basketball, hockey, and baseball, and boxing. Wow, what did we leave out? What upset did we miss?
Arthur Ashe in tennis ought to be in there somewhere.
Okay, who did he upset?
I don't remember. I just remember that he came from nowhere and just absolutely dominated for a while. I don't remember who it was that were his opponents, but I wasn't much of a tennis fan, but he captured my imagination back when he was playing. He was a true gentleman off the court and a fantastic athlete when he had that racket in his hand there on the court.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Mac said that we neglected track and field. Mac, my bad. I needed to get with our panel and thrown that out. Maybe if Kim would have been, we could have talked about that. Track and field. I'm a novelist. I know very little about that. All I know is that we have our athletes at the high school run track during the all football season to stay in shape and to keep those legs stretched. But I think our panel did a good job of coming up with top 10. Let me just recount them real quick. Number 10, the Pistons over the Lakers. Number 9, the Giants over the Patriots. Number 8, the Patriots over the Rams. Number 7, Penn State over Miami. Number 6, Leon Spinks defeated Muhammad Ali. Number 5, the new North Carolina State Wolfpack defeated the Houston Cougars. Number 4, the Jets defeated the Colts. Number 3, Tyson was knocked out by Buster Douglas in Tokyo. Number 2, the 1969 amazing Mets wins the World Series over the Baltimore Orioles. And number 1, the U.S. defeated Russia. Al Michaels says, "Do you believe in miracles?" We still remember that. Jack, closing comments.
I'd just like to congratulate the Colonels and say, go get them, guys. We'll see you at the top with a real salute. And it's a real pleasure seeing you, Dozell, and for everybody there. And thanks for your assistance for getting us on there. And when you see old Kim again, if he's listening in, Kim, we better looking than you are. You may be a little smarter, but me and Dozell are the best looking.
You better tell him that, Jack.
All right.
Thanks, Jack.
Good
Thank you
seeing
so
you.
much. And you'll be back on with us. We have some more sports to talk about. We're going to do more sports. I started out as a sports announcer in junior high school. We're going to do more sports. And you are a walking encyclopedia of sports, particularly Florida college sports. And we want to capitalize on that. And for Chevy, thank you for the time that you were able to be here with us. You made a great sacrifice to be here. And Jenny Robinson, who is an outstanding athlete and sports leader. She was called away. She's a police officer, police athlete. She was called away at the exact last hour. Really wanted to be here. We're going to be doing some more sports in the very short term. Listen, even when we sign off, which we're about to do, sign on and give us some sports ideas, and we'll make it happen. And you see, you have a sports aficionado right here in the person of Jack Strickland. Jack, thanks again for being with us. Listen, before we sign off, we want to tell you about tomorrow, next week's dialogue. Next week will be the last dialogue before Thanksgiving. And we have some special people. They've been here before. We're asking Jeannie Arbaugh from Showers by Grace if she can be here. Her story is just unbelievable. It's one for the ages. But also, we're going to have Gordon Harris out of Sterling, Illinois, who has had a heart transplant. Gordon has been on before. The two of them and a few others will be on to talk about just being thankful and help us all put Thanksgiving in perspective when we have had severe, life-challenging health issues, to still be able to talk about it and to encourage and to inspire others and to give thanks for it. That's what next week's Dialogue with Dozie is going to be about. As I see it, we had a lot of fun. Jack, you're number one. Chevy, you are awesome. And Jenny, though you were not able to be here, you're awesome too. Hey, KB, we love you, man. Check this show out and write some comments. To Mac and Fern and everybody else who signed on, who maybe were silent with the comments, thank you all. You helped make this happen. Now, when we sign off, go and give us some sports ideas. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you, Fern. Dialogue with Dozie is brought to you by GoGigaCreations.com. Get that into your hearts and minds. GoGigaCreations.com. That's who we're brought by. That's who produces this show and does a great job. We're asking you to become a YouTube subscriber to the Dialogue with Dozie. Become a YouTube subscriber. It's our goal to get 1,000 subscribers near the first of the year. You can help make that happen. Listen, thank you. Dialogue with Dozie. It's been a pleasure bringing tonight's show to you. God bless. We'll see you next Monday night, 8 o'clock, right here, YouTube and Facebook Live.